This sound killed careers, this engine rewrote racing history, and this secret almost destroyed Chevrolet. In 1955, when America was obsessed with chrome, fins, and raw horsepower, Chevrolet unleashed something so revolutionary, so powerful, that it didn't just change cars. It changed everything. But behind the thunder of the legendary 265 Turbofire V8, there was a deadly flaw, a hidden defect that turned a miracle of engineering into a mechanical time bomb. And today, we're uncovering the shocking truth behind the engine that nearly burned Chevrolet to the ground, before turning it into a legend. To understand how this engine changed history, you have to travel back to early 1950s America, an era of jukeboxes, drive-ins, and the horsepower war. By 1953, Ford's flathead V8 ruled the streets. Hot rodders worshipped it. Mechanics knew it by heart. Chevy? They were stuck in the slow lane, still selling six-cylinder stove-bolt engines that dated back to the 1930s. Dependable, yes, but slow, heavy, and embarrassingly outdated. Inside General Motors, Chevrolet executives were panicking. Ford was outselling them in the performance market, and younger buyers, younger body, the post-war hot rod generation, wanted excitement. Chevy had family sedans, Ford had thunder, Chevrolet needed a miracle. That miracle came in the form of a restless engineer named Ed Cole. Cole wasn't your typical GM bureaucrat. He was bold, impatient, and obsessed with innovation. At Cadillac, he'd already helped design their first modern V8. But now, he wanted something smaller, lighter, and faster. Cole dreamed of building an engine so compact it could fit in an affordable sedan, yet powerful enough to dominate the racetrack. He pitched the idea to GM brass and after endless boardroom debates, got the green light. The project's codename, Turbo Fire. The goal, simple, build the lightest, most efficient V8 in America. Cole's team got just 15 months, a suicidal deadline, to create an entirely new engine from scratch. They worked night and day inside GM's secret engine development lab in Detroit. Engineers slept on cots, test blocks exploded on the dyno. One memo from the time read, "Failure is not an option. Ford will destroy us if we miss 1955. By late 1954, they had it. A 265 cubic inch V8 that weighed under 550 pounds thanks to thin-wall casting technology. It had short-stroke pistons, wedge-shaped combustion chambers, and a radical new oiling system designed to save weight. On paper, it made 162 horsepower, more than enough to put the '55 Chevrolet Bel Air ahead of Ford's V8s. With a Powerglide automatic or a 3-speed manual, it was an instant hit. When Chevy unveiled the new engine, the crowd gasped. The company's ad men called it the Hot One, dealers called it a rocket on wheels, and America fell in love. 1955, Chevrolets flew off showrooms. Car magazines hailed the Turbofire V8 as the future of American performance. But, in service, bays, across the country, a different story was unfolding. At first, it was just a few complaints, oil lights flickering, faint, knocking sounds. Then came the failures. Mechanics opened engines that had run less than 30,000 miles and found bearings scorched, lifters gummed, valves welded with sludge. What was going on? Chevrolet's engineers had made a fatal compromise. To save time and weight, they skipped a full-flow oil filtration system. Instead, the 265 used a bypass filter, meaning only a small portion of the oil passed through the filter at any given time. The rest, filled with metal shavings and carbon, recirculated through the engine. Every mile, the oil got dirtier. Every trip, the damage grew. In internal memos, some engineers warned Cole, "We're grinding our own bearings." But with production already underway, it was too late to stop. Within months, dealerships were flooded with angry customers, oil pressure dropped, engines seized, and Chevrolet's miracle motor was suddenly a PR disaster.
Publicly, Chevrolet blamed the owners. They said drivers weren't changing their oil often enough, conveniently ignoring the design flaw that made the filter almost useless. Privately, Ed Cole's team went into panic mode. Engineers redesigned the block, adding provisions for a full-flow filter. The 1956 models quietly rolled out with the fix. No public statement, no recall, no admission. Dealers quietly replaced broken engines under goodwill warranties to keep customers loyal. And it worked. By the time the public could have turned on Chevrolet, the improved engines were already on the road. stronger, smoother, and nearly bulletproof. Ironically, the 265's early failures pushed Chevrolet to perfect its small block design. In 1957, the engine grew to 283 cubic inches, and with fuel injection, it became the first mass-produced engine to achieve 1 horsepower per cubic inch. That figure, 283 horsepower from 283 cubic inches, became legend. It shattered the notion that American engines had to be big to be powerful. Chevy had done the impossible, built a high-revving, compact V8 that could outrun anything in its class. Racers lined up for it. Hot rodders swapped it into everything from Fords to Willys. And suddenly, the small block became the heartbeat of American performance. The 265 laid the foundation for decades of domination. Its descendants, the 283, 327, 350, and 400, powered everything from Corvettes and Camaros to station wagons and farm trucks. By the 1960s, you could buy a Chevy with a small block V8, drop the mufflers, and go racing the next weekend. NASCAR legends like Junior Johnson and Fireball Roberts made it famous. Even when Ford and Chrysler rolled out their monster 390s and 426 Hemis, Chevy's small block kept fighting. Lighter, cheaper, and endlessly tunable. It was the engine of the people. Affordable enough for a kid with a wrench, powerful enough for a champion with a trophy. But behind the glory, most forgot the chaos of 1955. The seized bearings, the ruined reputations, the sleepless engineers who had nearly lost it all. For families who bought those early 55 Bel Airs, the dream turned to heartbreak. Imagine saving up for the car of the future, only to watch your engine die on the side of the highway. There were reports of oil lights flickering on freshly bought cars. Dealers told customers to change oil more often. Some drivers did, every 1,000 miles, but it didn't matter. Engines failed anyway. Some independent mechanics swore off Chevrolets entirely. That 265, one recalled years later, was a grenade with a timing chain. Yet Chevrolet's PR machine kept rolling. Magazine reviews raved about the speed, the styling, the glamour. GM poured millions into marketing. "Nothing can stop the new Turbo Fire V8, the ads screamed, while mechanics in small-town garages scraped sludge from ruined crankshafts. The 1956 fix changed everything. With the full flow filter installed, reliability skyrocketed. Chevy's reputation recovered almost overnight. Then came the 1957 Fuelie V8. Fuel injected, high revving, unstoppable. It became the beating heart of the first Corvette that could run with Europe's best. By 1958, Ed Cole had been promoted to general manager of Chevrolet. The same man who'd once faced ruin for the 265 was now leading America's biggest car brand. The small block's evolution didn't stop there. Over the next half-century, GM refined it into the legendary 350 V8, an engine so iconic that it powered boats, planes, race cars, even lawn tractors. More than 100 million small blocks were built. Think about that. 100 million descendants of the engine that almost destroyed Chevrolet. So, what's the real legacy of the 265 Turbofire? It wasn't just power or performance, it was perseverance. Chevrolet's refusal to give up turned failure into innovation. They learned to test harder, build smarter, and listen, at least a little, to the mechanics who saw what was happening under the hood. The 265 proved that even the most disastrous start can lead to greatness. Without it, there might never have been a Camaro Z28, a Chevelle SS, or a C3 Corvette. Its DNA lives on today, in every LS engine roaring under the hood of a modern Chevy. That distinctive rumble, that heartbeat-like throb, it all began with a flawed idea that refused to die. The 265 Turbofire V8 wasn't perfect. It was dangerous, temperamental, and nearly catastrophic. But it became legendary, not because it was flawless, but because Chevrolet refused to let it die. In a strange way, its biggest flaw became its greatest strength. Because the 265 did more than power cars. It powered a revolution. It turned an engineering near disaster into a dynasty that ruled for over half a century. So the next time you hear that unmistakable V8 rumble, remember the engine that started it all. The one that almost killed Chevrolet, before saving it. Because behind every legend, there's a secret. And the 265 Turbo Fire's secret? Even a ticking time bomb can become an icon. If you loved uncovering this hidden chapter of car history, hit that like button. It tells me you want more stories like this. Drop a comment with your favorite classic V8, and don't forget to subscribe, because next time, we're diving into the muscle car that was literally too powerful for America. See you in the next ride.